exactly what you want to see. Let's run this puppy in. Score a touchdown and tie this game. Life, run for your life, touchdown on one play. Worked on this in practice. Touchdown. It's up to Kelvin Benjamin. This is all you, buddy. Kelvin Benjamin for a touchdown. Oh, he toasted his man. Holmes toasted his man. Spin move. Oh! Oh! What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here in the Water Juice channel. And today, we are going to be talking about the newly released college football playoff rankings, the first one of the season. These are the rankings that matter. Not this one necessarily, because it's the first one, but these rankings are the ones that matter. The AP ones are nice. Those are what kind of give you a feel for what the country, what the important people are thinking about these top teams. Those are the ones that matter a little bit. Not necessarily, because in the world of 2021, AP poll doesn't matter that much anymore. The college football playoff rankings matter. And now we're at officially the first one. We will get probably like 5 more. I can't remember exactly how many we get before the actual final ones happen, where it's the final 4. So we get the first ones. We got them last night, and I'm here to react to them. I have them in front of me. I will go over the top. We will discuss the top 6 the most, but I will mention the top 25 just briefly, so you guys, if you haven't looked it up yet, you guys in this video know who the top 25 is, and then we'll discuss a little bit more importantly the top 6, because those are what really matters. So starting with 25, we have Pittsburgh. So what do we think of them? Nobody really cares. They have Kenny Pickett, Heisman hopeful. They lost last week, so he's probably done in the Heisman race. I don't think they're that good, but whatever. 24 is San Diego State. 23 is Fresno State. 22 is Iowa. I don't know how they're in the top 25, but they are here. I just want to preface this by saying I don't know like super in-depth about every team that's going to be in the top 25, so I will just go by. I will breeze past a couple of teams that I don't know. I know all the Big Ten teams. I know all the SEC teams, all the main teams. Like San Diego State, I haven't watched a game this season. I'm going to be honest. I don't watch San Diego State football, so I don't know anything about them. Fresno State, same thing. Pitt, I only know Kenny Pickett. So I'm just letting you know. I don't have extensive knowledge on every team in the top 25. 22, like I said, is Iowa. I don't know how they're here. They have no offense. Their defense is not as good as we thought it was, and they suck. So they're somehow in the top 25. They won't be at the end of the season. We'll just say that. 21 is Wisconsin. They had a nice win. They're not that good of a team either, so they finish in 21. I don't know how they're here either. 20 is Minnesota. Say what you will about them. Their Heisman candidate running back got injured against Ohio State in the first game of the season. Sucks for them. If he was there, they'd probably be a little bit higher. They'd probably be a little bit of a better team, but he's not. Their second string running back also got hurt, and I think he's out for the season as well. So Minnesota sucks. They suck a little. They don't suck as much as like Iowa does, but they're pretty bad. NC State is 19. 18 is Kentucky. They were the darling of the SEC for a couple weeks. Then they finally got their loss this past Saturday, and they're not that good either. They never were that good, but for some reason, the country likes to prop up SEC teams like it's such a big conference, like it's such a dominant conference, like it's not just Alabama and everybody else, and Georgia and everybody else. So apparently Kentucky, everybody thought they were good. They're not that good. Mississippi State is 17, same thing. Ole Miss is 16, same thing. They had a Heisman candidate in Matt Corral. He is most likely done in that conversation because they just lost this past Saturday as well. So they're not that good either. 15 is BYU. Just feel what you feel about BYU. I don't really have an opinion on them. I don't think they're that good, but I really don't know because I don't watch any BYU football. Texas A&M is 14. Auburn is 13. They got a big win against Ole Miss this past Saturday, so that's a big one. I don't think Auburn's that good. Bo Nix played really well in that game, but they've got a good running back, but I don't think Auburn's really that good. They probably crack the top 10 if they keep winning, but I don't think they're going to be a threat for the playoffs. None of these teams in the 25 to 11 range are really going to be any threat, I don't think, in the competition, the conversation for top 4 playoff spots. Oklahoma State is 11. They're not that good. Just trust me on that one. They're not that good. Then we go to the top 10. This is where it gets interesting. Number 10 is Notre Dame. And I'm just going to say this right now. Notre Dame is not good. They are undefeated, I think. Actually, don't know. I don't know if I can't remember if they're undefeated or not. But they're not good. They look good on paper. They're not good. We know this. They have a track record of getting blown out in big games, and they're just not good. They're not good this year. They weren't good last year. They weren't good any year. They're not a good team. I don't believe in them. Wake Forest is number 9. They are the only undefeated and only ACC team ranked in the top 25. So take that for what it is. Wake Forest, could they make some noise? Possibly. Probably not. They'll probably lose to a Clemson or a North Carolina, whoever else they have on their schedule, even though Clemson's not good. But they'll probably lose sometime and they'll be out. Oklahoma is 8, the first big shocker of the top 25. Oklahoma is number 8. Now, if you're a big fan of the channel, you know my feelings on Oklahoma. You know that I do not like Oklahoma. I do not think they're any good, especially this year. And say what you want about Spencer Rattler, say what you want about Caleb Williams. This Oklahoma team has no defense, like they usually do, but this year especially. They have no defense. Their offense is not working, whether it be Spencer Rattler or Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams puts up big numbers, but that's in the Big 12, where no team plays defense. Nobody plays defense in the Big 12. And you can look good in the Big 12 when you are an athletic, talented quarterback. I'm not saying Caleb Williams is not talented, but he is not as good yet as everybody wants to proclaim him to be. That's just my opinion. So they are 8. I think that's a good spot for them. They need to prove it by dominating the rest of their teams and winning the Big 12 to be even considered, I think, for a playoff spot. Number 7 is Michigan. They are coming off of a crushing loss to Michigan State, which warms my heart more than you could ever believe, because you know I'm a huge Ohio State fan. We do recaps and reviews and previews every single week during the college football season. And boy, just wait until that Michigan week. The big game, the game that week will be amazing, because Jim Harbaugh cannot win the big games. Jim Harbaugh cannot coach quarterbacks, even though he was a quarterback. And Michigan is not a good football team. And I love it. I love it. And it warms my heart. Makes me so warm and fuzzy inside to see Michigan at 7. I wish they were not ranked, but it is what it is. They will not be ranked once. Well, they'll either be not ranked or like low 20s, or high 20s, whatever. They'll be later in the top 25, if not ranked, by the time we get to the end of the season. So we won't even care about them. And then we get to the top 6, which is what we will focus on the most. So starting with number 6, we have actually, you know what? Starting with number 1, because number 1 is an obvious one, Georgia. Georgia's got the best defense in the country. Their offense, not so much. It's a good offense. It's Stetson Bennett or JT Daniels. Pick your quarterback. They're both decently talented, and they've got an offense that works in the SEC with that great defense. That defense is legendary. Like, they are dominant. I'm scared to play the way the Buckeyes played against Penn State. I'm scared to play Georgia if we have to. So they got a great defense. So they're number 1, obviously. Alabama, even though they have a loss to Mississippi State, or no, not Mississippi, Texas A&M, excuse me, Texas A&M, they do come in 2nd. Is that a little bit of Alabama bias? Probably. We know that the important people in college football, the mass media, we all know that they love Alabama, and I'm not saying they shouldn't love Alabama. Alabama has proven time in and time out that they are one of the best programs in the country. They have a million championships. Nick Saban is the greatest coach of all time, even though I want to vomit when I say it. I can't deny it. Nick Saban is the greatest coach of all time in college football. So they have that. They have him. They have a great offense. Their defense is a little spotty, but it comes to play when it needs to. And they are number 2. This is now, like I said at the beginning, this is the first initial rankings of the season. So it's almost guaranteed that this will not be the Final Four. So, will Alabama be there? Probably. They haven't missed, I don't think they've ever missed a playoff since the playoffs has been in 2014. And I'm assuming they're going to be there again just because they're Alabama. And then we get to 3, which is a little bit of a shocker, but not necessarily. I mean, they beat a top 10 team. Michigan State is number 3 in the college football rankings. So, yeah, they deserve it. They beat Michigan. They came back from a deficit. I think it was like a 10-point deficit or something like that in the fourth quarter or third quarter, something like that. They came back from it. They won. Kenneth Walker III is dynamic. He is a clear Heisman contender. I'm scared to play Michigan State when the Buckeyes, when they come to Columbus to play the Buckeyes. Although I think Kenneth Walker is their only weapon. I don't believe in Peyton Thorne. What's it? The quarterback? I can't remember. Something. I forget it. He's a former Northwestern quarterback. I can't remember what his name is. It's Peyton something, I think. I think it's Peyton Thorne. I don't believe in him. Their offense is okay. They've got that Reed guy as wide receiver, Jalen or Jaden or Jalen Naylor. Is it Jalen Naylor? Is that who it is? I'm getting my names mixed up. You know what I'm talking about. So Michigan State, I think they're pretty good for what they've played. Michigan, I don't believe in. We talked about this. Indiana, garbage. Nebraska, garbage. We'll talk about that in the Buckeye preview later in the week. Everybody else they've played, and they've won those games. They're undefeated, but do we really trust Michigan State? We'll find out when they come to Columbus to play the Buckeyes. That'll be their test. Michigan, yeah, that was a tough game, but nobody cares about Michigan. This is the matchup. This is their season when they come to play Columbus. So they're 3, well-deserved. I'm not saying that, well-deserved. But will they be there at the end of the season? For my sake, hopefully not, but who knows. And then number 4, a little bit of a shocker. It's not who you think it would be. Number 4, the last team in the playoffs, is if the season ended today and this was the final rankings, the last team in the playoffs is Oregon. Now, you know from watching the channel what Oregon has done this season. They came into the shoe week 2 and upset the Buckeyes. And I say upset because it clearly was an upset. Then they proceed a couple weeks later to go and lose to a bad Stanford team in overtime. So what do we think of Oregon? Do we believe in them? I personally do not. I think that if you line up the Buckeyes and Oregon again, that result is clearly different. The Buckeyes, I don't necessarily think they steamrolled Oregon this time around, but they would clearly be the winner of that game. I think the Buckeyes were still trying to figure stuff out. They were coming off of a scary Minnesota game at night. CJ Stroud was coming off his very first start ever as a college quarterback. He was still trying to figure things out. The shoulder was a problem still. So it was a whole mix of things early in the season. They got punched in the mouth, and the Buckeyes have woken up. So we've talked about their struggles last week against Penn State. We're not going to talk about that now because number 5 is Ohio State. Ohio State is number 5. They were number 5 in the AP poll. They are number 5 now in the official college football playoff rankings. And number 6 is Cincinnati. Now, a lot of people thought Cincinnati was going to be 4, or maybe even, they were number 2 in the AP poll. Now they're number 6. And like I said at the beginning, this is what matters. The college football playoff poll matters. The AP poll does not matter. It didn't matter necessarily at the beginning of the season or when we were using it. It clearly doesn't matter anymore. So, do we believe that if Cincinnati goes undefeated and Ohio State has the one loss and they win the Big Ten. So let's say we know two teams that are going to be guaranteed in the playoffs: Georgia and Alabama. I know they'll play each other in the SEC championship game. Well, I shouldn't say that. If Georgia wins, they're guaranteed, obviously, number one seed. If Alabama loses to that in that game, they're done because that's their second loss. So Alabama, I wouldn't even if they would put a 2-loss Alabama team in the playoffs, they couldn't. They physically could not do that. It would start riots. It would start riots. So if Georgia wins, they're number one seed. If Alabama wins, they're also in because that would be Georgia's first loss, and then they would be a one-loss team who lost to the SEC champion. They obviously wouldn't be the one seed anymore, but they would still make it. I bet you Georgia would still make it. So it'd be two SEC teams, Georgia and Alabama. So they're almost guaranteed to be in as long as Alabama wins out and wins the SEC championship. So Alabama, Georgia in. Michigan State, if they win out, obviously they're in because you can't leave out an undefeated Big Ten champion. That would just cause riots. So Michigan State, if they beat Ohio State and then go to the Big Ten championship, beat whoever's there, because the West is just garbage right now, probably Wisconsin. If they go out and win all that, then they're in. That's a lock. But if the Buckeyes win and they go to the Big Ten championship game, they win that, they're in. That's a guarantee. So, and since I'm a Buckeye fan, I'm going to lean towards the Buckeyes going and winning all the games. So we have three teams that would be locks: Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. Those three teams are locks in. Then you get that all-important fourth spot. You have a one-loss Oregon team, who I'm assuming wins out and wins the Pac-12. Then you have a undefeated, assuming this is all assuming things. Which is what we do. We assume things and we predict things. That Cincinnati wins out and wins the AAC, whatever conference they're in, the American. I forget what conference they're in, to be honest with you. But they're going to win their conference. They'll be undefeated. So, and then you also have a Michigan team, an Oklahoma team, a Wake Forest team. If they win out, what would the playoff committee do? That's the big question. Oh, and by the way, I'm gonna put up the actual top 6 in some part of the video. We're probably like over here somewhere, since that's where I usually put things. Just so you guys can see it for your own eyes instead of just me talking about it. So it'll be up here like now or something. And then Cincinnati, judging by this isn't me talking. This is the college football playoff. They made a statement by putting Cincinnati at 6 because Cincinnati was at 2. Now they're at 6 in the official rankings. This is my theory, or this is what I've been saying last year. I've said it again this year. Cincinnati is not a moneymaker. The college football playoffs is not about best competition. I know that's what it should be about, but it's not about. Let's be real. It's not about that. It's about which brand name teams make the most money. And yes, there's a little bit of what matchups would be really cool. Getting a Georgia-Ohio State matchup, an Alabama-Oregon matchup, Michigan State versus Georgia. Like, those matchups would be cool to see. That's secondary, though. It's about what teams are going to bring the most TV markets in, the most eyeballs in to watch, the highest ratings, which markets are going to be the most viewed. So you got Atlanta, Georgia. You've got Tuscaloosa, Alabama. You've got Columbus, Ohio. And then you got Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati's not a brand name team. They're in a lesser conference. They are just not a brand named school. That's just facts. And then you've got a brand name Oregon team. You've got a brand name Michigan State team. And you've got a brand name Oklahoma team, Michigan, Wake Forest, Notre Dame. All these teams are just bigger name. Well, maybe not Wake Forest, but all these teams are bigger names than Cincinnati. I hate saying this because I don't think it's true. I think Cincinnati, if they win out, they should be in. I didn't think that last year, but I think this year, I think they deserve to be in. I don't know if they'll do anything. They might get eliminated in the semifinal, but I'm looking at it through a perspective, not of a fan perspective, but of a marketing perspective, of a branding perspective, of what these guys would think about. Because these aren't just football fans doing these rankings. These are presidents of universities. These are deans of universities. These are what's the term? Why am I blanking on the term? What? I'm blanking on the term that I'm trying to think of. Presidents of university. That's what I'm gonna go with because I'm stupid. I can't think of the name of what I'm trying to say. But these are guys that think about the money aspect of things. They don't necessarily think about the on-field product as much as they probably should. So if I'm thinking of it like that, I'm thinking Georgia, I'm thinking Alabama, I'm thinking Ohio State, and I'm thinking Oklahoma or Oregon or Notre Dame or Michigan, I guess, or teams like that you can put up in the bright lights. Like if you let's say you have a 1-4 Georgia Cincinnati. Is that really going to bring in the numbers, the TV eyeballs, the marketing, the big bucks? Is that going to bring in a matchup, or is that going to bring in the same amount of money as a Georgia Ohio State or an Alabama Oregon, Alabama Michigan State, Georgia Michigan State, Georgia Alabama? It's not the same thing. You get what I'm saying, right? So from that perspective, I see why they put Cincinnati at 6, because they still want to give them a chance. That's why they didn't just knock them out, because they still think they're very good. I still think they're very good, but they kept them at 6 just to give them that little slight chance in case something crazy happens. Maybe Alabama loses again to Georgia, Oregon falls off, or something. Michigan State loses, Ohio State loses. Like Cincinnati's still in that window where they have a chance. It's just a very slim chance. So that's my opinion on the first of the season college football playoff rankings. Let me know down below if you guys are shocked about any of these rankings, if you guys would have the top 4, top 6 switched, if you would have like Alabama not in the top 5 or top 6. Let me know down below what you guys think. That's going to do it for me, though. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the Juice Club. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.